Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use my new plugin called GunsAPI. If you're just a plain out server owner and not a developer, the only reason you would need this plugin is if another plugin told you you do need it. And to install it, all you have to do is put it in your plugins folder and start it up or reload your server. Now, if you are a developer, things are completely different. For developers, you need to go ahead and create your project, set it up, and configure plugin.yml, and then you'll need to add these. You don't always need these, depending on what it is. Now, for this line here, depending, this is only needed if your plugin absolutely requires it, or if it runs any lines of code from GunsAPI. If it doesn't, you can use soft depend, or you can just not use it at all. Now, for load before, if you need GunsAPI to load before your plugin, which in this case we might need it, so I put load before. Other than that, you can just save your plugin.yml and continue. Now with GunsAPI, now with your project for GunsAPI, you need to add it into your build path. So pull up your build path, go to libraries, add external jars, and navigate to GunsAPI. Once you have GunsAPI in, now you need to navigate to your main class, specified or declared in the plugin.yml. And once you get there, you need to set up your on enable and set up whatever you need. Now, wherever you're going to use this, it doesn't really matter. You can use it in any class you want. You need to create this line, GunsAPI, and then right here you can put whatever name you want it to be called. In this case, I'm going to call it gun is equal to, and then you need to cast it. So GunsAPI, and this is what you're casting. So Bukkit .get plugin manager .get plugin, and then put GunsAPI. What this line does is it gets GunsAPI as a variable. Once it has it, you can now access any method you need to. Make sure you import it and then continue. Now I'm going to be going over some of the methods. So this case, I'm going to do gun dot and shoot. Now here's the options for shooting: shoot grenade, shoot gun, shoot RPG, or shoot shotgun. I'm going to go over each one specifically, starting with shoot gun. For shoot gun, you need the damage, so I'm going to set the damage to 3. The shooter, so in this case, since I'm using an event and it's a player interact event, I need to get the player. Now, event for the velocity, I need to get the player, then get their location, then get their direction, then multiply it by, let's see, I'll multiply it by 5, since it's a gun and it can shoot very far. For the bullet type, you need to make sure you spell it exactly right, so bullet type with capital B and a capital T, dot, and then whichever one you want. In this case, I'm going to use snowball. The sound, this is if you want the normal sound, default sound to play. If not, you can put it false and play a sound afterwards if you want to. Now make sure you import bullet type and everything should be set. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and export it and show you how it works. Reload the server. Come on to here, and now since in the code, I made it so if you right click with stone. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of stone, and now if I shoot with it, and this downfall is really harsh on me. So now if I shoot with this, it shoots a snowball. Nice little snowball here, and now it will damage you if it hits you or someone else, and it's up to you whether or not to make it so it damages you. I'm going to be going over the events later on, but as of right now, all it does is just shoot, and it can kill. So, now to continue, I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, and come back when I have the other one set. Okay, now I'm back. Probably was just a short 1 second for you, but for me it was just like 3 minutes. So, now I have it where if you interact with stone, it shoots a gun, and when it shoots the gun, it causes 3 damage to whoever it hits. It's shot by the player who interacted with it. Shots in the direction the player is looking at, multiplied by 5. And the bullet type is a snowball, and sound does play. Now if you interact with an arrow, it shoots an RPG, which damages 5 if it hits the person. Shot by the player. Velocity, this time multiplied by 2. Shoots an arrow, and it creates an explosion size of 3. And it does have the sound play. Now, for grass, if you interact with grass, a grass block, it'll shoot a grenade from the same person, same direction, just multiply it by 1.5, and the damage if it hits you is 2. And the bullet type is an ender pearl, and it causes a 2 explosion, and the sound is true. Now for cobblestone, it shoots a shotgun. Shotgun's a little different here. It does the damage, the player, the velocity, which is 3.5 in this case, a bullet type, which is an egg, and shells. This spot right here is called shells. This is how many bullets it shoots from the shotgun. In this case, I set it to 5, and it does make the sound. So I'm going to go ahead and export this. So now if I save it as the correct one, right here, somewhere. Here it is. Save that, reload the server, and get back on. So now if I use stone, still shoots a gun. If I can get grass, forgot what I set grass to. How'd I forget already? Grass shoots a grenade. So since it's an ender pearl, it is going to teleport me, and there is an option to turn that off. You can also create your own event to do that, but I've made an option that you can turn off the teleport. So you can shoot a grenade, and it makes an explosion, but if I was not game mode, I probably would die. As you can see, it does damage the villager pretty bad. Now if I go into, what's the next item? Arrow. So if I take an arrow, and now I can shoot with an arrow, it'll shoot an RPG. Made the RPG a little bit bigger of an explosion, and it shoots a nice old arrow, and yeah, it's pretty much just an arrow. So now, after you have the arrow, I have the cobblestone. So let me grab some cobble here. And now with cobble, this is a shotgun. Shotgun's pretty cool here. Shoots a bunch of eggs and shoots pretty far because of the way I set it up. I can always make the velocity be a little lower. Like for instance, you can do something with paintball and you can make the velocity be, say you want it 1.5. So I'll put it at 1.5 and I'll save that. Right there. Reload the server. Now if I shoot the shotgun, bang, 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 bang. And it's up to you with your own plugin to create the ammo type, and if you want ammo in the first place, create delays, anything. This is just an API. Now you can shoot these grenades, and yes, they do spawn chickens. You can turn that off yourself with an egg hit event if you want to. And you can also just make it so chickens don't spawn at all. It's really up to what you do with this, but it does shoot eggs in this case, and it is a shotgun. So here's all 4 of them. So 1, 2, and it teleported me. 3 and 4. So now we're going to go over turning off the ender pearl hit. So I'm going to put this in on enable, and since it's in on enable, this means that in plugin.yml you have to have load before, because I'm accessing a method from GunsAPI on the on enable. So if it enables before it, it could cause an error. So you want it to enable after it. So in this case, I'm going to be putting in a method here. Well, first off, I'll have to implement GunsAPI again. So do that right there. gun.setEnderPearlTeleportCancel. That sets it to cancel. If you put this at true, it cancels the ender pearl hitting thing. Now, if you want to make the explosion so it's not effective, like it doesn't destroy anything but it does kill, you can do set explosion to false, or set explosion cancel to true. That will cancel the explosion. So now that I have that there, I can now export this and reload the server, and I will get a pretty nice output here. So same settings and everything, just now this time this one's normal. This one shoots an ender pearl, but I don't teleport to it. Only problem is with this one is if you use an ender pearl, a normal ender pearl, if I go to game mode 0, and you shoot a normal ender pearl, you do not teleport. So if you want to create your own custom method for canceling ender pearl teleports and things like that, or if you just want to cancel them all out, it's up to you if you want to create your own or if you want to use the API. Now for cobblestone, shoots the egg still. Oh, and forgot, for the grenade, if you noticed, it explodes, and it does kill, but it does not destroy items. Now for the RPG, creates an explosion, you just kind of don't see the explosion. So I'll shoot a chicken, killed all the chickens down there. There's another chicken. So you can see the RPG does cause damage. That's for like a world you don't want to get destroyed, but let's say you do want it to get destroyed. You can set this to false. By default, it is at false. So if you set that to false and reload, it now causes damage in both grenades and in an RPG. Now you can use this RPG for many different things, but I suggest not making the explosion height too big, or else you could do this kind of thing here and kind of crash your world when you set it to 1,000,000. And yeah, you don't want to do that. So there is this little arrow glitch. I'd never removed it because it's an API. It's up to you if you want them to be removed. That's why we have events. So I have 2 events I need to show you here. But you can make it so that it does delete the arrow when it hits, but by default it doesn't remove the arrows, and it can look a little weird depending on what you're using it for. Now, for the events here, we have 2 events. So I'm going to go ahead and create the first one right here. And this one's going to be when something hits. Now this event here, this is called get hit event. Now be sure to import the event, and I need to make sure I have this here. Here, I'll be right back so I can get it imported. Okay, to add the event, either you can add this line right here, or you can do this little thing right here and click import. It wasn't there earlier. Or you can click this right here. So change, well, that's not the one I wanted, but earlier it didn't have the gun hit event, but you can import it like that. If you don't have it, you can put that other line in. Now go ahead and save that, and that's your event. When that gets called, there's several things that come in through this. There's you can get here's the things you can get. You can get the bullet type, you can get the damage that it's going to cause, but remember, this is the hitting. This is not when it hits a player or an entity. This is just when it hits the ground. It gets called when it hits a player also, but this is just when it hits the ground. In this event, if you change the damage, doesn't affect if it hits an entity, because this is just if it hits the ground. Now, you can get the bullet type and get the damage and get the event name and explosion and gun and handlers and shooter and velocity, but there's really no need to change the damage. I just have it there so you can have that information if it hits the ground. Now, in this case, I'm just going to get explosion and multiply it by 2. And since that's just multiplication, I need to add it to it. So set, you can set the bullet type, you can set canceled, you can set damage, and you can set the gun. And set the velocity also. There's really no need to set velocity, but it's just there if you want to use it anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and set the explosion. Okay, it appears that I have misspelled set when I created the event. So I went ahead and changed that and fixed it. So now you can set the explosion to whatever you want it to be. So let's say the explosion does come. So I'm going to set the explosion to event.get explosion times by 2. So whatever explosion was set to, it now multiplies it by 2. Now, there's another event in this, but I'm going to go over that after we save this and test this. So go ahead and export that. So now after I export it, I need to go back to the server and reload it. Now, when I use an RPG, the explosion was really small. Now watch what happens with it now. It just doubled in size. Now, if you can't tell the difference for some reason, let's go ahead and make a better demonstration. Multiply by 5. Now, if I export this with the same thing and reload, now the explosion size is going to be quite big. So take a look at that. I'm getting knocked back from all the way up here. So let's take one explosion right over there. Big explosion right there. Now you should see that the event does affect it. Now let's say I wanted to change something else. So event.set canceled true. So if it hits, and it doesn't hit an entity, so if it doesn't hit an entity, it cancels it. Just every single time. So if I go ahead and put this in, I can now shoot all these arrows and they'll act just like normal arrows. Unless you tell it not to. And the shotgun, same thing. The ender pearls, same thing. That was weird. Occasionally it will, apparently occasionally, it'll mess up. If that seems to happen, I'll fix it. If it might not just be something that I messed up on and probably catch it. Or is it oh, I'm hitting an entity. Okay, no error. I thought there was an error there. It's only canceling it if you hit nothing. But if you hit an entity, it does kill the entity and it does make the explosion. So that's why we have two events here. So if I hit here, it doesn't explode. If I hit here, it doesn't explode because I'm hitting the grass. Here, if I hit here and I hit this entity here, boom, we got an explosion. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the other event. The other event here is, well, I'll just add another one. So event handler public. Stupid mic wires in my way. Sorry. Hit entity. And this one is if it only hits an entity. So gun hit entity event. Now, make sure you import, or change it because I misspelled it, and import this. Now that you have those imported, you can now use event dot set. Here's the things you can set. Set the bullet type, set canceled, set damage, set explosion, set gun, set velocity. Or you can do dot get the bullet type, you can get the damage, you can get the entity, you can get all these special things here. And for instance, say you want to make it so you get the entity you hit, or you don't have to do that, but I'm trying to think of a cool thing that would demonstrate it. How about set, okay, okay, I'll do it this way. If event dot get bullet type dot equals bullet type dot ender pearl event dot set canceled true. So that should be a pretty good example for that. So I'm going to go ahead and export that and reload the server. I'm going to start wrapping up this tutorial. Now if you take a look at this, if I can find an entity, I'll get a chicken, for example. Actually, I'll spawn a chicken like this. There. A chicken's going to spawn real soon. There we go. So now, if I shoot the chicken with the snowball, if I can get it, there we go. Chickens have such low health that they're just going to die. So, if you hit the chicken with a snowball, then they go ahead and die. Now, let's say if I hit him with a ender pearl, or a grenade. Of course, the explosion still goes off, but the event should have been cancelled there, unless something was mishandled. Let me check. Did I set it as ender pearl? Let me check on this real fast. Still trying to find every bug I can get. Okay, and I'm back. Turns out there was a small problem in the event, which I have fixed again, and that appears to be all the problems. It's a good thing I made this video, because now I've figured out the few problems that there are. If there are any more, please tell me in the comments. But as of right now, problem has been resolved. It was making the bullet type by default an arrow, so that was fixed, and I turned this event off due to the fact that it was causing this to conflict and not explode, even if it was a rocket launcher, because it was already cancelled. Now that I'm just canceling this one, if it is an ender pearl, go ahead and show you this. Now I want you to be aware that if you hit something, there's still a projectile hit event. It still causes its default damage if you hit something, but the gun damage is changed by this event. So let me find an entity. Let me create one real fast. Wrong one. There we go. So now let's say I shoot this chicken right here with a grenade. If I can hit the chicken and it's not moving around. Come here. Fine. You'll be perfect. I hit the chicken. It doesn't kill it by default, but it does take small damage because an ender pearl causes damage when it hits someone. Now, let's say if it's a rocket launcher. This time, since it's a rocket launcher and it hits, well, didn't hit that, I just hit the side and it exploded. Still explodes, but if it hits the entity, it shouldn't kill the entity. For some reason, I am lagging super bad. No idea why. It's not the plugin, it's just my computer, and that was not the gun I meant to use. Let's spawn hundreds of chickens to test this with. Here, I'll do it up here where there's no grass, because grass is annoying, and I do not like it. Chickens are inside yourselves there. Okay, if I can hit the chicken. Ugh, stupid chicken. If I can hit the chicken, you can see that it does create an explosion. Just want to confirm that it does create an explosion. There. So if you hit the chicken, it kills the chicken because either the explosion or the arrow does cause damage because of a projectile hit event. Now, if you notice with the ender pearl, it causes an explosion if you hit around it, but if you hit an entity, it does not explode. It just damages it by default. So with this event I set up, I can shoot right next to the entity and make it explode and kill the entity by explosions. Now, that's just a demonstration of the events and what you can do with them, and a few other things that you can do with this API. Some quite useful stuff. It's just I'm thinking I'll be using it myself, but I'm just trying to show you how to use it, and it should be on the Bukkit website now. The link should be in the description if you're on YouTube, and if you are not on YouTube and you're on Bukkit, it's going to be in the description there also, or on the side where you can click the download button. So go ahead and download that, and you can set this up now. Now before I end the video, although it's getting really long, I'm going to go ahead and reconfigure some stuff and let there be a download. But Bukkit's a little picky if we put downloads on their website that are not related with it. So if I can't get it onto the website of Bukkit, the download for this sample plugin I'm going to be making is going to be on YouTube. So that's all for now, and I'm going to pause the video now and show you the new version that I'm creating. Okay, so I have created a little random plugin here just to demonstrate GunsAPI, and you can go ahead and download it. I might have the download. I'm pretty sure I will. Most definitely will. Yeah, I'll probably have it. So if I shoot a snowball, it tells you that it calls the gun hit event, and it also spawns a cow with where it hit. So the cow is also called GunsAPI generated cow, and that's just for no reason at all. So you can shoot them all over the place, and if you accidentally hit a cow, the damage that is caused by the bullet is inflicted on you. So actually, I forgot. Let's see. Would I make it again? No, it's if you're in game mode. If you're in game mode 1, then the damage is inflicted on you. So there, I got damaged. If I go to game mode Game mode 1 again. I'll get damaged again, and I'll be put back in survival. So yeah, if I have flying enabled, I think I checked that. Might not have. I have the code here if you want it. You can shoot these cows up all you want. I forgot what I did with the damages. Oh, if the damage is greater than 4, it sets an explosion of 5. So, let's say for instance, what guns have stone? This one just has a damage of 3. This one, a grenade, has a damage of 2. This one has a damage of 3. So this one has the explosives, I think. I don't remember what I put it as, but that one makes an explosion. So it's kind of just random code that I put down just to demonstrate that it works. So there you go. And then if you oh yeah, it sets explosion to 0 if you don't hit anything at all. But since I'm hitting these cows and kind of brutally murdering them. What are you doing with your head, cow? Look down at me. You took too long. And I don't have a grass block anymore. I'll kill you this way. So, this is a demonstration that it works, and it also says in the events and all that. So now, if I shoot with a normal arrow, it doesn't call the event. If I shoot with a normal projectile, it doesn't call the event. And if I shoot the cow, it doesn't call the event. But if I shoot it with the gun, then it does call it. So I'm going to go ahead and just shoot them all up. There we go. And you can also shoot them into the air and wait for them to fall. But I need a grass block for this. So game mode 1. Grass blocks. And the grass block right now kind of acts as a RPG. Like, you can make a grenade act similar to an RPG. It's just so you have the name. Say it's not RPG and you set it to grenade. It's just to make the person feel good. So, with this plugin, you will start spawning way too many cows. And I'm gonna die now. Ugh. Okay, I got out of there just in time. So, tons and tons of cows now. I'm actually starting to lag due to all these cows. So let's generate more cows. Hundreds of arrows will fall from the sky and spawn hundreds of cows in the valley. Well, that's all for this video. Hopefully it'll export because it's so long. But hopefully you like this plugin. Hopefully it turns out to be some use to you. And if you're not a developer, then hopefully it inspires you to become a developer. And yeah, so that's about it for this video. Please be sure to download the plugin, check it out, and create your own plugin based off of it. So that's all, and goodbye.